we will move to Nididhyasanam with this Shraddha and Saburi, right? And the Nididhyasana is defined to experience this. As we said, Bhakti Yoga is we have our emotions and we are transforming them with different levels of worship, right? To love for Ishwar. That's essentially what Bhakti Yoga path is. Take our emotions, which are in the field, in the three koshas, with the three gunas, use different levels, whatever suits us, into a love for Ishwar eventually. So it will start with that goal in mind. Yeah. So practically, how even the scriptures have defined it, there are with Shraddha and Saburi, as I said, those are our anchors. There are three components to it. There is an object of devotion. We choose the object of devotion, right? So as we said, that we want Ishwar, there is personal and impersonal, Nirgun, Sagun. So we will choose whatever works. It could be something from childhood that we have done, something not, something new, whatever we have discovered. There is one object of devotion where we are trying to experience that love, as we talked of, with those three properties of no fear, no transaction, and one pointedness, right? We will choose a vidhi, right? There is a Nav vidhi. You can Google that Nav vidhi, and we will go through the Nav vidhi. We'll choose a vidhi, a doing, a method of worship. We will choose that. How do we do the worship, right? And we will choose a bhav. A bhav, that's a being, the being, a being of worship. So what is, how do we relate with this object? And I think Priya's point will come there on the mother versus father, etc. Those are the choices, right? That's the kind of relationship you are seeing with the object of devotion. What is the relationship you want to create? And then this being and doing, the vidhi and bhav, becomes like a virtuous cycle, right? As we have seen with being and doing, that once we have a certain bhav, certain doing emerges automatically, and once we have that doing, that creates a certain bhav, and this gets, and at the center of it is our object of devotion. Okay, so today we have time, and that's why we've kept the time. We will go through this process step by step, so you can take a pen, paper, or in your mind, but we will choose each one of these as I describe this. So we will, so the first is we will choose our object of love, we will choose our doing in love, and we will choose our being of love. Yeah, and I'll present some choices as I have seen. You could choose something else, but at least what's coming from the scripture. So what is the object of love? It can be any of these. So this is a variety based on largely Sagun, because you could choose the Nirgun also, up to you, but different objects that people have used, and something I may have missed also, so you could see. So it could be an idol, a deity, Ganesh, Hanuman, Shiva, Vishnu, Devi, Jesus, Nanak, some of the Swami saints that are there. There are many of them. Sufi saints also. Then could be a mantra or a book, right? So when people take the Quran, for example, take the Bible, for example, Om, the mantra, or any other mantra that you have gotten recited from beginning, it could be that. Yeah, Gita, Upanishad, could be a formless entity, God, Allah, Ishwar, Bhagwan, just a name, no necessarily other form to it, but just the name. Could be an ideal or abstract principle also. For example, what we have seen in Yam Niyam, some of those, truth, Satya, Ahimsa, compassion, could be some of those, and could be even an object. So the five, Akash, Vayu, Agni, tree, sun, nature. So whatever appeals to you today that represents that Ishwar, the ultimate that you feel love for, right, today. And with this process, choose from your swa. So I'll give a moment, a minute, maybe close your eyes if you want, and be ready to evolve, because the process will make us that. It will take us that. We will imbibe those properties as we see them. see what appeals to you. What's the first thing probably that came, right? It might be something from very far back, something maybe you have done recently also, but what's that coming from an instinct? Don't analyze it too much. I think it's go with that, try it. We are going to try it for maybe a week or two, and it could evolve. There's nothing fixed about it. And as you choose that object, come back and we'll move to the next step. Now, the next step is how do we, for lack of a better, worship this object, right? How do we express our love? The doing, right? And this is, there are 9 ways prescribed. This is prescribed or suggested in the Bhagavatam. They said there are 9 ways that you can do this bhakti. Okay, so what are the 9 ways? So the first is Shravana or Shravanam. You've heard this also in Gyan Yoga, but and here it's similar. It's about the essence of it, it translates into hearing, but the essence is learning about the object of love, right? We should know. So if we have picked a deity, then let's know the story, the properties. Who is this deity? Let's get to know that deity, right? We are going to love that. It's just like introduction. You know you want to love a person, you want to know more about that, right? So that's where the Puranic stories come in. Or if it's a founder of, if it's like Buddha, what's Buddha's real story, right? Go understand, learn, and that will be through hearing, reading, discussing with people, but really learn about this object, because you're going to love this object with all your emotions, right? So know this object. That's what Shravana is about, as much as you can, right? So learn about them. The second is Kirtana. Kirtana is obviously the most common probably image comes is this clanking of bells and singing, but Kirtana is really about repeated expression of this love, repeated expression. So it is can be through singing, through dance, through music, etc. But even like a japa is Kirtana. It's to yourself. It's not public. So Kirtanam doesn't have to be public, because that's the image we see and we think that's what Kirtan is. So Kirtan is not necessarily public. It's about making sure we keep expressing that love through our words, through our actions. More words here in Kirtan, but through our voice, right? And that is an important component of our pranamaya kosh. So express that love through singing. So even preaching is also considered as Kirtanam. So when I talk about it to somebody else, so Shravana is a very individual exercise. I'm getting to know, then I start talking about it. So this is also in some ways Kirtana when we hold this class, because we're sharing this with you, right? So that is also Kirtana, talking about you, for example. Yeah. So Kirtana has different variations. So we have not that association only. If that is works, that is also there. That also has a huge possibility in itself, where coming in a group in publicly when we are singing the praises of the Lord. That is one way, and the other is doing it yourself, preaching, teaching others about it, spreading the word. That is also Kirtana. The third is Marana, which is remembering, constantly remembering. So having the awareness of this object in everything that we do, while we do, even while speaking, having that awareness of that object. And two classic examples or stories that come from here are of Sita and Hanuman. So the story of Hanuman is, Hanumanji is when he was carrying the mountain from Himalayas to Lanka. So he was crossing Ayodhya, and in the middle of the night, and suddenly Bharat woke up and saw that, oh, there is somebody carrying this mountain and going in the air. And he was like, who is this? Because he didn't know. He took an arrow, shot at Hanumanji, and Hanumanji came and fell down in the next to Bharat. And he was murchit. He was basically unconscious. The mountain came down, but as he fell down, Bharat heard only one thing. Hanuman was saying Ram, 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 Ram. And that basically assuaged all Bharat's fear, because he's a devotee of Ram, just like Bharat. And that's the kind of remembrance. That's Marana. That's one example. The second is of Sita ji also, that during the entire time that she was at Ashok Vatika in the capture of Ravan, the thing that she constantly did was Smaran, taking the name of Ram, and that's what protected her. That built her such a strong shield. It is said against Ravana that Ravan couldn't do anything. That is one of the things. That's the power of Smaran, and that's where Smaran can take you. Just constant, just keeping that in our awareness of that object of our love, of Ishwar, or whatever that object is. Constant remembering. Pad Sevana. So literally it translates as service of feet. So literally it would mean serving the feet of the Lord, but conceptually translates into doing some service in the name of this object of love. So whatever we have chosen, so even if it is an ideal we have chosen, in the name of that ideal, what would be the service I will do across me? It is then now it starts moving to outside. If you see, like, to the external world even more. What can I serve? Can I give a maybe a donation? Can I go and give like they say in the Gurudwara, there is a practice of people coming and serving the poor in the kitchen. So those are ways of doing this. So through my labor, can I do, through whatever way, how can I serve in the name of this? So serving the cause in some ways, the cause of this object of love. Hence, obviously, again, temples, if it is a deity, you can see how obvious those become. But even if you have chosen something which is not a deity and idol, there is a way. So if it is a book, can I distribute the books so the knowledge spreads, right? So what can I do to, in the name of this service, doing some service now? That's where it's moving to an action in the external world. Fifth is Archanam. Archanam is where we are personifying this object of love for the first time. It's personification, even if it is not in this method, personification is implied. Even if you have not chosen a person or something which can be personified, if we use this method, you don't have to use all the methods, right? So if you are using this method, there is a personification and expression of love through this. So one of the most classic examples is what some of us must have just seen, the Ganpati process that's going on right now, right? So we invite Ganpati ji into our homes, our offices, into the community, and then everything happens around them, right? You wake up with them, you don't leave them, he's a guest, so you basically pamper him, give him fruits, food, praise him, do aarti. So all this is part of Archana. So there is an elaborate process in it. So typically if you are doing Archanam, and particularly of a specific deity, it's important and recommended that you follow the process for that deity, because there is certain likes and dislikes of those deities also. So make sure we do not do anything off. So if you're picking this, it's important to, I think, learn it from that whatever that deity is about or personification is about. You could try it from your being as well. It will come because it's developed by a human being from that being only, but it's good to learn that. And there are places that ISKCON does this quite a bit, and they are very, very probably very aware, good at it, well learned. The sixth is Vandana. Vandana or Vandanam. In this, we are building intimacy. It's getting a deeper relationship, much deeper intimacy with our object of love through conversation. So it's becoming a dialogue with that object of love, right? And this can happen through prayers is one way. So, and I think here important thing when we say prayers is to note prayers are not, it's keeping the definition of love. Prayer is not I will do this, you do this. That's not a prayer. Prayer is seeking that infinite love with God. So like when we want to love and meet Allah, Allah wants to love and meet us as well, right? So it's with that spirit we are praying or developing a conversation. And seventh is dasya, which is becoming a das, becoming a servant to this object of love. Be an instrument in the hands of this objects of love. Basically, all our actions become in service to this object of love. So in Padasevanam, we are starting with some action. In Dasya, all our actions, we become a das to that service. And Sakha, the next is Sakha, where we are doing all the actions as a best friend to that, to the object of love. And last is Atma Nivedan, where we are merging, becoming one, completely losing ourselves, self-surrender to this object of love. This is our only, it becomes like an obsession at this stage. And this is again getting here, if you see Atma Nivedan too soon is where that fanaticism can come in, right? That's what, so that's where the mixture is important. It's important to understand where we are and accordingly choose the right doing and what is appropriate for this stage, whatever it is. And yeah, I'll give a few minutes so you can think and choose what are the what kinds. Again, it's not a linear sequence. Sorry, again 1 2 3 is there just to keep a count, but it's not a linear sequence. So you could do anything, whatever feels right now, comfortable for that object of love. I would say at least pick one. You could pick more than one also. It's not. Takes, yeah, seems like people have decided. Yes, anybody needs more time? Okay, yeah, I don't see yeah, okay, so we'll move to the next stage. We've chosen the doing, now we'll choose the bhav, the being of love, right? The attitude with which we are doing this. So we have the object, we have the what we want to do. Now we will choose with what bhav, and that's where this question comes. What has been described as 5 bhavs. And this is again a reading by Swami Vivekananda ji on this, and I think that will be shared. This is coming from there. So what are the 5 bhavs? The first is Shant, or peaceful bhav. An example of that is Bhishma or Devvrat in Mahabharata. So this is like saying, yeah, I have understood it. I'm not fully convinced, but I'm okay trying it. I'll just see what happens. So I'll have some Shraddha. I'll have patience. I've chosen this. Let me try and see what happens. There's not a lot of emotion yet engaged there, but it's a Shant Bhav, and that's okay to go ahead with. Yes. So that's the Shant Bhav of working in this, and that can continue also. Yeah, Ishwar is there. I know I'll keep doing my part. So that's the Shant Bhav. The second is Dasya Bhav. Of course, a big part of Dasya is also in I think Indian system it's Dasya. In others, a classic example is Hanuman for Ramji, and the followers of like Christianity, God, Allah, they've placed God as a father. So it's not Dasya exactly, but kind of that kind of a relationship where the power is above. So God is seen as a higher being, right? That's what Dasya is, that I am following the instructions of God. Could be seen as a father as well. I think that's the connotation. The third is Sakha, friend. This is where Sugriv in the Ramayana with Ramji, Arjun with Krishna, Sudama with Krishna, those are examples that are there. Here you are a friend. So here it's a relationship more of a, it's an equal kind, right? So you are a friend, there is a dialogue, there's a conversation that's happening and you are looking at that. The fourth is Vatsalya, which is of a mother. So here you are the mother of the Lord. It's not the other way. The Lord is not the mother. Here you have become the mother. So these examples are like Sabri in Ramayana, Krishna Lalla, Ram Lalla, as we saw, or baby Jesus that's there in Christianity. So here, as a mother, you treat that object with that kind of affection, because I think the closest to pure love in many scriptures is talked about is the love of a mother for the child. That's, but the definition of love with the triangle is the truth. So that is what we stay with. But we try and express our love in this way, like we would, like we'll take care of it, bathe it to that extent. So there are rituals on this, then it goes to bathe, etc. So Sabri's story is that she wanted to feed bear, the berries, to Lord Rama in the forest. And berries, as you know, can be sour, can be sweet, may not be edible sometimes. So what she did was she would take a berry, bite it to check whether it's sweet or not, or it's palatable for fit for Lord Rama or not. Keep those berries and throw the others away. So when Lord Rama came, he had a chosen set of best berries, right? But in that process, obviously, she had tasted it and they had become what we call jhuta, or could have been adulterated. But she saw it as a mother, and a mother wouldn't ever consider this, right? So yeah, if I have tasted it, my child can take it too, right? So that's the spirit that she was able to work this with, and that's what she did. So that's why that is an example of Vatsalya Bhav, because you're going beyond all these other relationships. You're just treating the Lord as a child, right? And just saying, okay, I will even taste, but he should get the best. My child should get the best. It's coming from that spirit. And the last is the Madhur Bhav, or the Bhav of a lover. So this is very different, equal. I don't think I can describe it besides give examples of Radha with Krishna, Gopis with Krishna, Meera with Krishna. So Krishna is the most, I think, example who has actually shown, and that's why Gita or Krishna Leela is the most elaborate thing on this, where all the bhavs in his lifetime or through his example they have been shown. With others we get, some we don't get, but yeah, so that's the lover bhav. And here they what they say is that we essentially become the feminine, right? We are the female, and the Lord is the male lover. That's how it is. Whatever body form we are in, but our love for Lord is in that spirit. And whatever, I think, I don't know what essentially that means. There is a pretty detailed description in the Vivekanandaji's Bhakti Yoga, the chapter, which is shared in reading. So you can read that, where he's described what this experience is like, to be a lover to Ishwar. So I'll take a pause here again. We are almost out of time. Give me, oh, you're out of time, sorry, already. Yeah, I'll need 2-3 more minutes. We'll just wrap up. Just choose the bhav. Give a minute. What bhav, with what being would you want to do this?